Most people don't have productivity problems. They have clarity problems. They wake up late, scroll mindlessly, react all day, and wonder why they feel empty by Friday. But the Stoics knew better. Productivity isn't about doing more. It's about living better. It's about habits so rooted in purpose that you no longer negotiate with laziness, distraction, or doubt. In this video, you'll learn 7 ancient Stoic habits that can turn one ordinary week into the start of a radically new life. These aren't hacks. They're a code, a discipline, a way to live with fire and focus, even in a chaotic world. So if you're ready to stop drifting and start dominating your week with intention, like this video, subscribe, and let's begin.
Number 1.
Winning the morning. The first habit is deceptively simple, but deeply transformative. Win the morning and you win the day. The Stoics understood that how you begin determines everything that follows. Marcus Aurelius in Meditations wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work, as a human being." This wasn't just motivational fluff, it was a spiritual call to rise, literally and metaphorically. Each morning is a quiet test. The alarm rings, and in that moment, the battle begins. Not against the world, but against yourself. Your body wants warmth, your mind wants comfort, but your soul wants growth. And growth never happens under the blanket of ease. The bed becomes a battlefield between the higher self and the weaker one. And every morning, one of them wins. Most people don't realize they've already lost their day before they've even stood up. They hit snooze, they scroll, they delay, and in doing so, they surrender. Epictetus warned, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And there is no better moment to reclaim mastery than that first decision, to rise. Now, in the modern world, we romanticize morning routines, hour-long rituals filled with yoga, journaling, and turmeric lattes. But the Stoics weren't trying to impress anyone. They were trying to align. For them, waking early wasn't a status symbol. It was an act of readiness. Readiness to meet life, whatever it brings, with steadiness, with strength. You don't need 3 hours. You need presence. That might mean 10 minutes of stillness before the sun rises, or reading a single paragraph of the Enchiridion before anyone else speaks into your day. The point isn't quantity, it's quality. Begin the day rooted, not rushed. When you check your phone before you've checked in with yourself, you're handing your attention to strangers, algorithms, and headlines. You haven't even greeted your own thoughts, and you've already let the outside world dictate how you feel. The Stoics would call that a loss of sovereignty, and sovereignty begins in the first hour of the day. Benjamin Franklin, though not a Stoic in name, lived by one. Every morning he asked himself, "What good shall I do this day?" That single question created a structure, a moral compass, a sense of forward motion. Imagine if you woke up and instead of checking notifications, you asked, "What kind of person will I choose to be today?" That alone can shift the entire week. Another modern example is Maya Angelou. She described her mornings as sacred. She would rise early, go to a quiet room and write, not to produce, but to center herself. That's what Stoic mornings are about. Not just doing things, but becoming someone. Over time, your morning becomes not just a routine, but a ritual, a recalibration of the soul. Even nature aligns with this truth. The sun rises slowly, with dignity, not rushed, not loud, but consistent. And in its quiet rise, it commands the entire sky. That's the power of a Stoic morning, silent, steady, unshakable. So here's the practice. Tomorrow, wake up 30 minutes earlier. Not for hustle, but for clarity. Sit in silence. Reflect on your duties. Read something that awakens your inner fire. Stretch your body. drink water with reverence, and above all, decide who will lead your day, your higher self or your habitual self. Because if you don't win the morning, the world will win it for you. And the world doesn't care about your peace, but you should, as Marcus Aurelius said, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." And life, it begins not when the sun rises, but when you do. Rise, begin, and become.
Number 2.
A strong mind and body. The Stoics never separated the mind from the body. They believed true strength came from the integration of both. To sharpen your intellect while neglecting your body was, in their eyes, a half-built foundation. Epictetus said it plainly. Difficulties show men's character, and physical training was not vanity. It was voluntary hardship, a discipline chosen to sharpen resilience and to prove to yourself that you are not ruled by comfort. Most people today try to avoid discomfort. They seek shortcuts, convenience, and ease. But the Stoic path was the opposite. They leaned into what was hard because they knew. What's hard is what forms you. A weak body makes a strong mind harder to access. When you're constantly tired, scattered, or sluggish from poor health, your reasoning suffers, Seneca wrote. The body should be treated more rigorously, that it may not be disobedient to the mind. It wasn't punishment, it was alignment. A mind that wants clarity cannot live in a body that resists discipline. The ancient Stoics lived this. Cleanthes worked carrying water by hand day after day, not because he had to, but because he chose labor as his teacher. Musonius Rufus made his students train physically to strengthen their moral backbone. Even Epictetus, with a damaged leg and a limp, insisted on endurance and movement. They didn't chase physical perfection. They practiced self-command. Through the body, they trained the soul. This principle isn't ancient history. Consider Theodore Roosevelt. As a sickly child, he could have chosen a life of limitation, but instead he embraced what he called the strenuous life. He trained his body, forced himself into the outdoors, wrestled with his weakness until it became strength. Pain shaped him, struggle clarified him, and through that clarity, he became a leader of immense conviction. Today, many see movement as a chore, another item on the list. But the Stoic moves with intention, not to impress, but to prepare. If your body is sluggish, your soul has to carry its weight. But when your body is energized, your mind stands taller. You act with clarity, you move with purpose. You don't flinch at hardship, you greet it. Here's what people miss. You don't need to become a marathon runner or an Instagram model. You need consistency. You need to walk daily with attention, lift weights with purpose, stretch your frame with care, sleep deeply, eat what sustains you, not what numbs your discomfort. These aren't lifestyle upgrades, they're spiritual practices, because the body is the house of your reason. If the house is collapsing, even the brightest light inside it flickers. The Stoics would ask you, what kind of life are you preparing for? One that avoids effort or one that thrives in it? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Every step taken when you're tired, every bead of sweat when you wanted to quit, every decision to show up again, those are not just exercises in strength. They are declarations of identity. Even your breath matters. Controlled breathing isn't just a relaxation tool. It's a reminder that you are not your panic, your cravings, or your fatigue. You are the calm behind the breath, a few conscious inhales in the cold air, a slow walk with your thoughts. These aren't distractions from Stoic practice, they are Stoic practice. So if you want the most productive week of your life, don't just read, don't just reflect, move, wake up your body, reclaim your energy, train not for vanity, but for virtue. Let your body be the quiet proof of your discipline, an anchor in a world that tries to pull you off course. Because your body isn't separate from the path, it is the path. The stronger you stand, the clearer you think, and the clearer you think, the more powerful you become. Mind and body, one force, one philosophy, one life.
Number 3.
The power of journaling. The Stoics didn't just live with discipline, they reflected on it. They knew that without self-examination, action becomes noise. Journaling for them was not a hobby, it was a vital spiritual exercise. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, sat down quietly each night and wrote to himself. Not for fame, not for followers, but for clarity. The words in his meditations weren't meant for the world. They were meant for his own soul. Why does this matter? Because we live in a world that constantly tells you who you are and what to think. If you don't pause to confront your own mind, you end up living someone else's life. Stoic journaling is a way to reclaim that authority, to ask, what did I do today? What did I avoid? What stirred anger, pride, fear? What did I waste? What did I learn? As Epictetus said, if your choices are beautiful, so too will you be. But how can you know your choices if you never stop to look at them? Most people think of journaling as a place for feelings, but the Stoics used it to observe reality. The journal is a mirror, not a place to escape the truth, but a place to meet it. And that meeting point, each evening, becomes the forge where your future self is made. Let's be honest. It's easy to live on autopilot, easy to wake up, get dressed, check your phone, go to work, and never stop to ask, did I live today the way I meant to? That's what the journal does. It breaks the cycle of mindless living. It helps you live on purpose. Seneca, in his letters, wrote often about the evening review. He would sit down, go over his day, identify where he had fallen short, and forgive himself, not to lower the bar, but to correct course. This was how he improved, with precision, with presence, without drama. He said, the man who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive. And writing for him was part of that anticipation. You don't need to write pages. Start with one sentence, one honest sentence. I was lazy today. I gave in to resentment. I forgave someone I never thought I could. That's enough. The goal isn't beauty, it's honesty. The more honest you are on the page, the more clarity you'll carry into the world. And clarity for the Stoics was everything. The clearer you see, the better you choose. The better you choose, the less you regret. Journaling isn't about the past, it's about sharpening your future. Even modern minds have understood this. Leonardo da Vinci filled notebooks with thoughts, sketches, doubts, and observations. He wasn't trying to be poetic, he was thinking on paper, getting the chaos out of his head and into the light. That's the essence of Stoic journaling, translating confusion into wisdom, turning inner clutter into calm. So here's your practice. Each night before you go to sleep, sit down with a notebook, turn off the noise, write one line about how you lived, what you learned, what you noticed, what you want to improve. Don't write to be profound. Write to be real, because the real you, the aware you, is the one building momentum silently day by day. And one day, you'll look back and realize the habit of writing saved you from drifting, from forgetting, from becoming someone you're not proud of. The journal doesn't lie. It humbles, it sharpens, it reveals. As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, look well into thyself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if thou wilt always look. That strength begins with reflection, and reflection begins with the courage to face your own words.
Number 4.
Act now, avoid procrastination. The Stoics treated procrastination as a silent thief, one that steals not only your time, but your character. Every moment you delay what must be done, you teach your mind that hesitation is acceptable. And like rust on metal, delay begins subtly, but soon consumes everything, Seneca warned. While we are postponing, life speeds by. He wasn't chasing productivity hacks. He was pleading for presence, for the courage to step fully into the moment before it vanishes. Picture a craftsman sharpening a blade. Wait too long and rust forms. Your tasks are the same. They dull when ignored. The Stoics believe decisive action purifies the will. Each step forward, no matter how small, scrapes away fear and breeds clarity. In action, we reclaim our power. In delay, we slowly give it away. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could be good today. Instead, you choose tomorrow." That sentence dismantles every excuse. It calls out the lie that tomorrow is guaranteed. Excellence lives only in the now. If you're willing to stop bargaining with later, delay feeds dread, action shrinks it. Even in the modern world, we see this principle in motion. Victor Hugo, facing a deadline for The Hunchback of Notre Dame, locked away his formal clothes, keeping only a shawl to wear. With no temptation to leave the house, he finished the novel. His tactic embodies a Stoic lesson. Remove escape routes, and the mind discovers its energy. Epictetus taught, practice in small things. You don't need grand gestures. Answer the message you've avoided. Clean the drawer you keep ignoring. Make the difficult call. Each small act builds momentum. Each tiny victory strengthens self-command. And with each repetition, your resistance grows weaker and your will grows stronger. You might ask, what if I don't feel like it? The Stoics would answer, your feelings aren't your master, they're weather, real but unreliable. Duty is climate, steady, shaping, Musonius Rufus said. Virtue demands effort, even when inconvenient. Stop waiting for motivation, let motion create it. Modern psychology agrees. Researchers call it the intention-action gap, the space between what we plan and what we do. That gap is where stress grows, where confidence dies, and where regret quietly takes root. The Stoics saw the same. Hesitation breeds anxiety. Action restores peace. Take Serena Williams. Her practices begin before sunrise. Why? Because routine leaves no space for inner debate. She doesn't wait to feel ready. She simply starts. That's Stoicism in motion. Duty before doubt. Maya Angelou followed a similar rhythm. She often rented hotel rooms just to write. Just a desk, a page, and a promise. Her environment supported her discipline. So must yours. Remove the noise. Set the tone. Prepare for focus. Try the 2-minute rule. If it takes less than 2 minutes, do it now. Or prepare the night before. Lay out your clothes, your tools, your tasks. Make action easy to start. Even your language matters. Say, I choose to, not I have to. Choice reframes duty as strength. Each morning ask, if today were my last, what task would give it meaning? That's not morbid, it's motivating. Memento Mori pulls you into purpose. It reminds you that time isn't promised, so use it like it matters. Let each action echo your values. The enemy isn't your workload, it's your avoidance of it. Change the story. Each task is training. Each moment of follow-through is a form of freedom. That's what the Stoics pursued. Not comfort, but clarity through courageous action. So act, make the call, start the draft, clean the slate. Let every task you complete be a quiet declaration. I was here, I showed up, I didn't waste this life. The future is uncertain, but the present, it's alive, it's waiting, and it belongs to you.
Number 5.
The importance of sleep and evening rituals. The Stoics began the day with intention, but they ended it with equal care. They saw night not as downtime, but as the crucible where tomorrow's discipline is cast. Seneca wrote that the mind should retire into itself at dusk, surveying the hours just lived. How you close the day decides how you open the next. And nothing closes the day more powerfully than deep sleep protected by deliberate ritual. Modern culture treats sleep as expendable, a soft option for the weak. The Stoics judged it sacred, Marcus Aurelius reminded himself. Rest is the sweet sauce of labor. Rest was strategy, not indulgence. A repaired body lets the mind strike cleanly and keeps emotion from boiling over. Consider Arianna Huffington. After collapsing from exhaustion, she rebuilt her life around a strict bedtime ritual, screens off, lavender tea, gratitude spoken aloud. Her influence grew. Proof that honoring rest multiplies impact. NBA great LeBron James follows a similar law, aiming for at least 8 hours plus a nap because, he says, sleep is the greatest performance enhancer. Both show that greatness is sustained not by endless grind, but by disciplined recovery. So what forms a Stoic evening? First, boundaries. Turn off the glowing rectangle at least an hour before bed. Blue light convinces the brain that noon never ended. Marcus dismissed advisors early so his mind could cool. Today, that means letting emails and social feeds wait for dawn. Second, reflection. Seneca practiced nightly accounting. I examine my entire day, hiding nothing. Jot what stirred anger, envy, or joy. Spot patterns, celebrate restraint. This audit keeps mental clutter from invading dreams. Modern neuroscience agrees. Unprocessed thoughts fragment deep sleep and spike cortisol. Third, gratitude. Before the lamp goes out, name 3 quiet blessings. A kind word, a solved problem, a sunset. Gratitude is not naive positivity, it's armor. It pulls attention from scarcity to sufficiency and soothes the limbic system. Fourth, preparation. Lay out clothes, place the journal, fill the water bottle. This tiny choreography turns intention into architecture. Productivity writer James Clear resets his workspace every night so dawn starts in order, not chaos. The Stoics would nod. Order outside supports, order inside. Fifth, environment. Treat the bedroom like a sanctuary. Cool, dark, and free of clutter. Even Marcus, sleeping in a palace, chose a plain bed to remember that comfort lives in sufficiency, not excess. Science echoes him. A room around 18 degrees Celsius triggers melatonin and slows heart rate. If insomnia strikes, return to the breath. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. The lengthened exhale activates the vagus nerve and steadies the pulse. The technique embodies Stoic composure. Extend the pause, soften reactivity. Some nights rebel, travel delays, sick children, urgent projects. When ritual breaks, apply Stoic self-forgiveness and swift return. Do not add guilt to fatigue, simply realign the next night. Resilience is rhythm restored, not perfection defended. Finally, remember the deeper purpose. Sleep is not escape, it is integration. During slow wave cycles, the brain consolidates learning, prunes distraction, and resets willpower. Tomorrow's courage is being manufactured while you dream. To skip sleep is to steal from your future self. So turn off the noise, tally the day, give thanks, set the stage, and surrender to sleep as an act of disciplined trust. Trust that the body will mend, the mind will weave experience into wisdom, and you will rise, as Marcus put it, ready to greet the work of a human being. In darkness, the Stoic does not drift, he recovers. The quiet room becomes a forge, shaping resolve for dawn. Close your eyes with purpose, and you will open them with power. Number 6, negative visualization. The Stoics had a powerful practice that most people today misunderstand or completely avoid. It's called negative visualization. And no, it's not about pessimism. It's about preparation. It's about learning to see loss, difficulty, or discomfort, not to suffer it in advance, but to shrink its power before it arrives. Seneca wrote, "He robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming beforehand." What he meant was simple but radical. By imagining what could go wrong, you train your mind to face life without illusion. It's the opposite of denial. It's spiritual rehearsal, and it builds a kind of mental armor nothing can pierce. In modern terms, think of it as mental contrast. Athletes use it before high-stakes competitions. CEOs use it before launches. They walk through worst-case scenarios, not to scare themselves, but to clarify what matters, to strengthen response rather than panic. Marcus Aurelius practiced this constantly. In the early morning, he would remind himself, "You will meet people today who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest." Not to resent the world, but to meet it as it is, without fantasy, without false hope. Because false hope is fragile, but truth is steady. Negative visualization means you ask yourself, what if I lose this job? What if this person I love leaves me? What if my health fades? It sounds dark, but to the Stoics, it was light, because the act of imagining loss teaches you one thing. You can survive it, you can face it, you can even grow from it. This practice doesn't invite misery, it neutralizes it. The fear you refuse to look at becomes a shadow that follows you, but the fear you stare at directly, it dissolves into clarity. You stop being surprised by hardship, and you start meeting it like an equal. Steve Jobs used this same idea. Every morning he looked in the mirror and asked, if today were the last day of my life, would I do what I'm about to do? He wasn't obsessed with death. He was obsessed with not wasting time. That's what negative visualization does. It sharpens your focus. It brings your attention to the present, not with anxiety, but with urgency. This practice also makes you more grateful. When you visualize the loss of something you take for granted, you see it fresh. You hold it differently. Seneca advised, practice poverty, that fortune may not catch you off guard. He would deliberately sleep on the floor, eat the simplest meals, and wear rough clothing, not to punish himself, but to prove to his mind that he could thrive under any condition. The modern world wants you to visualize luxury. The Stoics invite you to visualize loss. Why? Because the person who fears nothing is not the one with the most, but the one who needs the least. Negative visualization is how you train yourself to become that person. It frees you from being held hostage by comfort. Try this. Tonight, before you sleep, imagine something you value disappearing, not to make yourself sad, but to wake yourself up. Ask, what if this was my last week with them? What if this was the last time I could walk unaided? What if this was the final sunset I'd see? It's not morbid, it's awakening. Because what you visualize with depth, you cherish in real life. And what you've already met in the mind, you don't run from in the world. That's the gift of negative visualization. Not fear, but freedom. Not despair, but presence. The Stoics didn't avoid the dark. They entered it with eyes open and walked out stronger. So close your eyes for a moment. Picture the loss. And when you open them again, act with more purpose, speak with more kindness, and live with more clarity. This isn't negative thinking. This is disciplined seeing. And disciplined seeing creates a fearless, focused life. Number 7, meditating on mortality, Memento Mori. There's a truth most people run from, the truth of death. Not because they're weak, but because they haven't been taught how to look at it with strength. The Stoics didn't fear death. They studied it. They meditated on it, not to feel sorrow, but to spark urgency, not to obsess, but to awaken. Memento Mori. Remember, you must die. It's not a threat. It's an invitation to live fully, to live presently, to live aligned. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly that death was near, not out of dread, But so he could strip away distraction, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. This idea isn't about morbidity, it's about clarity. When you truly grasp that your time is limited, you stop wasting it, you stop living like you have endless tomorrows. You drop the petty arguments, you walk away from gossip. You speak what you mean, you love without hesitation, because you understand in your bones that every hour is a gift slipping through your fingers. Consider Steve Jobs again. When he was diagnosed with cancer, his speeches and decisions sharpened. He famously said, "Remembering I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life." That's not fear, that's focus. That's the edge that mortality gives us when we embrace it rather than hide from it. Seneca pushed this further. He said, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing." In other words, live now, decide now, forgive now, begin now. You don't need more time. You need more courage in the time you already have. This practice isn't just about you. It's about how you treat others too. Imagine your child won't always be here. Your parent, your partner, your best friend, none of them are permanent. And when you deeply understand that, irritation fades, gratitude takes its place. You pause before snapping. You appreciate the small moments. You make time for what matters because you realize those moments are vanishing as you read this. Roman Emperor Hadrian, who admired Stoic ideas, once wrote, "Little soul, wandering, gentle guest and companion, where will you go now?" He penned that to himself in old age, facing the end not with bitterness, but with wonder. The Stoics understood, what ends is sacred, it teaches us how to begin. Modern psychology echoes this. Therapists speak of death awareness as a tool for emotional realignment. Those who face death, not hypothetically, but personally, often shed anxiety and rediscover meaning. They say, "I don't want to waste my life anymore." And so they don't. You don't need a diagnosis to feel that shift. You only need a few quiet minutes, close your eyes and imagine. This is your last year, your last week, your last conversation. What would you do differently? Who would you be more patient with? What truth would you finally say out loud? This is not meant to depress you. It's meant to awaken you. It's meant to tear you from the trance of busyness and pull you into the sacredness of now. Because once you stop fearing death, you stop fearing life. You stop playing small. You stop living on autopilot. So wear the reminder like a compass, Memento Mori. Let it strip away the noise. Let it clarify your values. Let it remind you you don't have forever, but you do have now. And that is more than enough to live well, speak truth, forgive quickly, and create beauty. The Stoics didn't wait to be reminded of death by fate. They reminded themselves daily so they could live without regret. And now it's your turn. Don't run. Don't distract yourself. Sit with it. Let the thought of death humble you, sharpen you, and free you. That's not darkness. That's light in its purest form. This week will come and go like all the others, but who you become in it, that's up to you. The Stoics didn't chase more time. They made meaning with what they had. They didn't wait to feel ready. They acted with discipline, with presence, with purpose. Now you have 7 habits, 7 ancient tools, but none of them work unless you do. So rise early, move your body, reflect deeply, take action without delay, rest with intention, visualize what could be lost, and above all, live with the awareness that death is near and therefore life is precious. If this video brought clarity, grounded you, or stirred something inside, don't just move on, like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs this too, and let me know in the comments. Which habit are you starting today? Because you don't need more time, you need more intention, and that begins right now.